WNBA Finals. And so I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm just obviously disheartened. You know, I'm a human too. I have a family. I have 2 kids who are devastated by these comments. And so all I'll say is just, you know, it's obviously.
It is finally happening. The news every Caitlin Clark fan has been waiting for since the moment she stepped onto a professional court is now officially breaking. And the fallout is set to change the WNBA forever. We are talking about the reported resignation of Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, a move insiders say is essentially a done deal. And it is no coincidence this is unfolding at the exact same moment Caitlin Clark is finalizing a historic, game-changing update to her Nike contract. The long-brewing war between the old guard and the new queen of basketball appears to be over, and the winner is no longer up for debate. But to understand why the commissioner is reportedly packing her bags, and why Nike is backing up the Brinks truck for Caitlin, we have to dig into the private conversations, the leaked audio, and the chaos that has been building behind the scenes for the last 24 months. This is no longer just about basketball. This is about power, jealousy, and one of the biggest fumbles in sports history. Let's step straight into the fire. Reports from high-level sources inside the sports business world indicate that Cathy Engelbert is actively negotiating her exit strategy. This follows a turbulent year in which the league's popularity exploded, while leadership appeared to be pushing back against the very player responsible for that growth. The breaking point? A massive, undeniable power move by Nike. While the WNBA debated whether Caitlin Clark was merely popular or truly great, Nike ended the argument completely. The brand has just unveiled the next phase of her signature partnership, a deal insiders now value at nearly double the original $28 million figure reported in 2024. This new agreement, effectively a lifetime alignment with Nike, includes a massive global, from anywhere campaign and the official launch of her signature shoe line, projected to outsell current NBA star merchandise by a 3-to-1 margin. Nike ran the numbers. They studied the fan base, and they reached a simple conclusion. Caitlin Clark isn't just a WNBA player, she is a global economy of her own. That overwhelming vote of confidence from the most powerful sports brand on the planet made WNBA leadership look small, insecure, and arguably incompetent. But why now? Why would the commissioner step down just as the money starts pouring in? The answer lies in a shocking hot mic moment, what many insiders are calling the ungrateful leak. According to league rumors, a closed-door meeting late this season focused on revenue sharing and player marketing. During that meeting, it is alleged that Commissioner Engelbert suggested Caitlin Clark and her camp should be grateful for the platform the WNBA provides, implying that without the league's infrastructure, Caitlin would be nothing more than a girl with a basketball. That comment, once leaked to players and agents, ignited the powder keg. Imagine telling the athlete who brought private charter flights, sold-out arenas, and millions of new viewers to your league that she owes you gratitude. The disconnect was so severe that even team owners couldn't ignore it. Owners, now watching franchise values skyrocket, realized a commissioner who appears resentful of the league's most valuable asset is a liability. You don't bite the hand that feeds you. And right now, Caitlin Clark is feeding everyone. To fully understand how we got here, look back at the timeline. Go back to 2024. Caitlin enters the league, and instead of rolling out the red carpet, leadership allowed a culture of hostility to take root. We saw the hard fouls, the cheap shots, and the constant media dismissal from established voices within the game. Through all of that, where was the commissioner? Silence. When Caitlin was body-checked to the floor by Kennedy Carter, the league took days just to upgrade the foul. When coaches began banning media members for asking legitimate questions, leadership was nowhere to be found. That passive approach created a toxic environment where it felt like Caitlin Clark versus the world. Fans noticed immediately. Comment sections flooded with the same question over and over again. Why does the WNBA hate its own savior? That sentiment didn't fade. It grew louder. And now, in late 2025, with ratings holding steady largely because of number 22, the Board of Governors appears to have decided that enough is enough. They don't need leadership that tries to humble the Clark effect. They need leadership that fully embraces it. And then there's the Nike factor. You cannot overstate how embarrassing this new deal is for the WNBA's old guard. The league's max salary is still a fraction of what Caitlin earns from a single Instagram post. When Nike steps in and treats her like the female Michael Jordan, giving her a custom logo, an enormous marketing budget, and essentially the keys to the kingdom, it exposes just how far behind the league truly is. Nike is acknowledging reality. Caitlin Clark is a generational superstar. The WNBA, meanwhile, has spent the last 2 years trying to convince fans that everyone is a star. That participation trophy mindset does not work in professional sport. Stars drive revenue. The NBA exploded because of Magic, Bird, and Jordan. The WNBA has the same opportunity with Clark, but only if it stops pretending she's just one of 144 players. The rumors of Engelbert's resignation suggest that the real decision-makers, the billionaire owners, are finally ready to adopt the Nike model. Push the superstar, and everyone else gets paid from the overflow. There's also the jealousy narrative that has long haunted the league. We've seen former players like Sheryl Swoopes repeatedly qualify Caitlin's records, claiming she takes too many shots or implying her success isn't legitimate. That energy didn't stay on TV. Sources say the friction between the commissioner's office and the Indiana Fever became impossible to ignore. The Fever are the league's cash cow. They play in sold-out arenas. Their merchandise sales eclipse the other 11 teams combined. Yet reports indicate the league was hesitant to give them too many primetime games or too much marketing exposure, out of fear of upsetting the rest of the league. That equity-first approach backfired. Fans want Caitlin. By trying to suppress Clark mania in the name of fairness, the commissioner failed at her most basic responsibility: growing the game. You don't grow the game by hiding your best product. You grow it by putting it on every billboard in America. Nike just did that. The WNBA didn't. And that's why one leader is being rewarded while the other is likely negotiating a severance package. Now let's talk about the players' reaction. You might assume the locker room would celebrate the commissioner's exit, but it's more complicated. The ungrateful leak didn't just offend Caitlin. It offended anyone who understands their own value. Players like Nafisa Collier and Breanna Stewart, who helped launch Unrivaled to compensate for low WNBA salaries, have been outspoken about the need for a league that prioritizes player marketing. If the commissioner believes the biggest star on the planet should simply be grateful to be there, what does that say about how she views role players? To many, it signaled a fundamental lack of respect for talent. Players know Caitlin is the reason charter flights became mandatory. They know she's the reason the salary cap is set to rise in the next CBA. When leadership starts feuding with the Golden Goose, everyone else starts worrying about their own eggs. And inside locker rooms across the league, the narrative has shifted. This is no longer jealousy of Caitlin Clark. It's the realization that Caitlin's fight with the league office is their fight too. If she wins, they all win. The resignation, if and when it's officially announced, will likely be framed as a mutual decision or a graceful retirement. Don't be fooled by the PR language. This is an ouster. This is the outcome of a power struggle between the past and the future. The past is a WNBA where players earned $70,000 a year and played in rec centers. The future is a WNBA where Caitlin Clark has a $50 million Nike deal and plays in NBA arenas. Kathy Engelbert did accomplish meaningful things for the league. She secured critical capital raises. She guided the league through the uncertainty of the early 2020s. But she represents the era of survival. The league is no longer in survival mode. It's in expansion mode. And expansion requires a different kind of leadership. It needs a wartime CEO, aggressive, media-savvy, and willing to disrupt the status quo to maximize growth and profit. The fact that names like Kaya Clark, and even outside disruptors, are being floated proves the owners are demanding a complete cultural reset. They want a leader who sees Caitlin Clark as an opportunity, not a problem. The timing of the Nike announcement matters. It is not accidental. Nike is a strategic powerhouse. Dropping news of a restructured contract and a massive, from anywhere, global campaign right as the league enters its offseason is a flex. It's a message to the marketplace. Nike is saying we're betting the house on her. And in the process, it makes the WNBA's hesitation look foolish. It also applies immediate pressure on the league to get its house in order before the spring 2026 tip-off. Nike doesn't want its $50 million signature athlete dealing with amateur scheduling, inconsistent officiating, or a hostile league office. By elevating Caitlin's value, Nike is forcing the WNBA to level up. This is a proxy war, and Nike has far more leverage than the league office. Now let's go deeper into the so-called ungrateful comment, because this is the emotional core of the story. That word hits a nerve because, for decades, female athletes have been told to be grateful for scrap. Be grateful you have a league. Be grateful anyone is watching. Caitlin Clark represents the end of that era. She doesn't need to be grateful to a league that now depends on her. She generates the leverage. When she shows up at a golf tournament, ratings jump. When she attends a baseball game, broadcasts revolve around her. She is bigger than the Shield. When the commissioner reportedly used that language, it exposed a belief system where the institution matters more than the talent. It's the same outdated mindset the NCAA had before NIL. Caitlin Clark does not work for the WNBA. In many ways, the WNBA currently works for her brand. Failing to recognize that shift in power dynamics is exactly how the commissioner lost the locker room, and ultimately, the confidence of the board. So what comes next? If Engelbert is out, the next commissioner inherits a gold mine and a minefield at the same time. The first order of business will be repairing the relationship with the Indiana Fever and the Clark camp. Expect the next leader to be photographed alongside Caitlin almost immediately. Expect the 2026 season opener to be marketed as the biggest event in league history. The schedule will be optimized to put Caitlin on national television every night she plays. The fairness doctrine will be replaced by the ratings doctrine. And frankly, that's how it has to be. The NBA didn't hide Michael Jordan to spare the Utah Jazz. They rode him to global dominance. The WNBA is finally realizing it must do the same. This resignation removes the bottleneck. It's the dam breaking. And as for the critics, the media pundits and former players who spent the last 2 years taking shots, they've gone quiet. The Nike deal did that. It's hard to call someone overrated when the smartest marketing company on earth is investing tens of millions into her brand. Money talks, and the rest walks. The resignation of the commissioner is the final confirmation that the Clark era is not a fad. It is the new standard. Anyone who failed to adapt is being left behind. What we're witnessing is a changing of the guard in real time. The toxicity of the 2024 season, the racial discourse, the jealousy, the tension, all came from a system that simply wasn't prepared for a superstar of this magnitude. Now that system is breaking apart and rebuilding itself around her. And the new Nike deal includes some fascinating details that have started to leak. One of them is a global tour clause. Nike reportedly wants to take Caitlin to Europe and Asia to promote the shoe. That immediately puts pressure on the WNBA schedule. Will the league accommodate it? A smart commissioner would. Because Caitlin selling shoes in China or France doesn't hurt the WNBA. It feeds it. The old leadership would have labeled that a distraction. The new leadership will recognize it as free global marketing. That philosophical divide, thinking small versus thinking big, is what's driving every change we're seeing right now. The WNBA has thought small for nearly 3 decades. Caitlin Clark thinks big. Nike thinks big. Together, they're dragging the league into the big leagues, whether the commissioner likes it or not. And we can't forget the fans. This shift happened because of you. By buying the jerseys, watching the games, and flooding social media, you forced the league's hand. If nobody tuned in, the status quo would have survived. But millions showed up, and the gap between the product and the leadership became impossible to ignore. You noticed the bad officiating. You noticed the strange scheduling. You noticed the lack of promotion. And you spoke up. This potential resignation is a win for the fan base. It's an admission that the customer was right. Fans want Caitlin Clark. They want elite basketball. And they want a league that behaves like a professional entertainment product, not a gate-kept club. So as we wait for the official announcement, understand this is bigger than one executive stepping down. This is a culture war inside women's sports reaching its breaking point. On one side stood the establishment, Engelbert and the old guard, preaching patience, equity, and gratitude. On the other side are the disruptors, Caitlin Clark and Nike, preaching growth, dominance, and star power. The disruptors won. The establishment is folding. The WNBA of 2026 will look nothing like the WNBA of 2024, and that's a good thing. It's going to be louder, richer, and unapologetically star-driven. The fallout for the rest of the players will be fascinating. Can the next commissioner unify the league? There's still resentment. Some players still believe Caitlin gets too much attention. But new leadership has the chance to reframe the entire conversation. Caitlin's money is your money. If league revenue doubles, the salary cap doubles. If the salary cap doubles, the 12th player on the bench is making 6 figures. That's the reality. Engelbert failed to sell that vision. She allowed jealousy to fester instead. The next commissioner has to walk in with receipt. Look at the Nike deal. Look at the TV ratings. Look at the media demand. This is the pie, and it's getting bigger. Shut up and play is a harsh message, but it's the truth of professional sports. As we wrap up this deep dive, keep your eyes on the official WNBA press release. Read the language carefully. If they say pursuing other interests, she was fired. If they say stepping down to spend time with family, she was fired. If they praise her service and immediately announce an interim replacement from the business world, she was fired. And watch Caitlin's social media. She won't say a word. She's too media trained for that. But watch the Nike promos. Watch the quiet flexes. The best revenge isn't interviews. It's domination. She's not clapping back with words. She's clapping back with signature shoes and record-breaking contract. The commissioner is leaving. Caitlin Clark is staying. That tells you everything about who actually runs the WNBA now. This is a turning point. Years from now, we'll look back at the resignation and the shoe deal as the moment the WNBA finally grew up. The moment it stopped fighting its own success and chose to embrace it. In the entertainment business, you ride the hot hand until the wheels fall off. Caitlin Clark is the hot hand. Kathy Engelbert, unfortunately for her, was standing in the lane. The league is clearing it. And with Nike armor on, Caitlin is about to dunk on the entire industry. That's the story. The commissioner is out. The shoe is in. And the WNBA is about to get a whole lot more interesting. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want real-time updates on every twist in this saga, hit that subscribe button. We're tracking replacement rumors, contract details, and player reactions as they happen. Don't miss it. The drama is just getting started.